Inkim's family were Jehovah Witnesses, dedicated to living according to the faith's teachings. From a young age, Inkim was taught the importance of following the path of righteousness, attending meetings at the Kingdom Hall, and participating in the ministry work. Despite her upbringing, she often found herself questioning the rigid boundaries set by her faith. She was a curious and free-spirited girl, yearning for experiences beyond the constraints of her community. As she grew older, Inkim became increasingly aware of the world outside her village and the different beliefs and customs that existed. Her family, particularly her father, was strict about maintaining the standards of their faith. Inkim, remember that you are a witness first, he would say. The world outside is full of temptation. Stay true to Jehovah, and you will be blessed. Inkim would respond, nodding obediently. But inside, her heart longed for freedom and adventure. She often daydreamed about what life would look like beyond the boundaries of Umuchukwu, imagining herself exploring the world and discovering new perspectives. One day, while walking home from the market, Inkim met a young man named Chinedu. He was tall and handsome, with a charming smile that instantly captivated her. Chinedu was not a member of her faith. He belonged to a Christian community, one that allowed for more freedom and personal expression. Their paths crossed frequently, and Inkim found herself drawn to Chinedu's warmth and inviting nature. He was different from anyone she had ever met, and his openness to new ideas fascinated her. They began talking more and more, sharing stories and laughter as they walked through the village together. As their friendship deepened, so did Inkim's feelings for him. She knew that her relationship was forbidden by her faith, but the connection between them was undeniable. Chinedu understood her desire for freedom and encouraged her to embrace her individuality. Inkim, we are more than the rules that bind you, he would say. You deserve to explore the world and make your own choices. Inkim's heart swelled with emotion, torn between her love for Chinedu and her commitment to her faith. She struggled with the idea of disappointing her family and violating the teachings she had been raised to uphold. But the more time she spent with him, the more she realized how deeply she cared for him. Their bond grew stronger, and Inkim found herself questioning the rigid expectations of her upbringing. One night, under the moonlit sky, Inkim made a decision that would change her life forever. She gave in to her desires and slept with Chinedu, embracing the love they shared despite the risks. Afterward, a wave of guilt washed over her, knowing that she had gone against everything she had been taught. She prayed for forgiveness, hoping that Jehovah would understand her heart and the struggle she faced. Inkim tried to keep her relationship with Chinedu a secret, but the weight of her actions weighed heavily on her conscience. She lived in constant fear of being discovered, knowing that the consequences would be severe if her family ever found out. Little did she know that her secret was about to unravel, settling in motion a series of events that would challenge her faith, her family, and her understanding of love and forgiveness. Inkim's days were filled with anxiety as she juggled her secret relationship with Chinedu and her responsibilities within her faith. She attended meetings and participated in ministry work, but her mind often drifted to thoughts of Chinedu and the love they shared. Despite her efforts to maintain a facade of normalcy, Inkim's behavior did not go unnoticed. Her parents, particularly her mother, began to sense that something was amiss. They noticed her distant demeanor and the way she seemed preoccupied during family discussions about their faith. Inkim, is everything alright? Her mother asked one evening as they sat in the kitchen preparing dinner. Inkim forced a smile, tried to mask her inner turmoil. Yes, Mama, everything is fine. Her mother studied her face, sensing the hesitation in her voice. Remember, my daughter, you can always talk to us. We are your family, and we love you. Inkim nodded, her heart aching with the weight of her secrets. She wished she could confide in her family, but the fear of their reaction kept her silent. As the weeks went by, Inkim's relationship with Chinedu deepened, and the love they shared became a refuge from the pressures of her faith. However, their secret was becoming more hard to conceal, and Inkim knew she had only a matter of time before the truth would come to light. One morning, Inkim woke up feeling very unwell. Plagued by nausea and fatigue, she dismissed it as a passing illness, but the symptoms persisted. Deep down, she feared what this might mean, but she tried to push the thoughts aside. A few weeks later, the truth became undeniable. Inkim was pregnant, a revelation that filled her with fear and dread. She knew that if her family found out, she would be ostracized and shamed for her actions. In a state of panic, Inkim confided in Chinedu, hoping that he would understand and support her. Chinedu, I'm pregnant, Inkim said, her voice trembling with fear. Chinedu looked at her with a mixture of shock and concern. Inkim, are you sure? She nodded, tears welling in her eyes. I don't know what to do. My family would disown me if they find out. Chinedu took a deep breath, trying to process the gravity of the situation. We need to figure this out, Inkim. But whatever happens, I'm here for you. Inkim was grateful for Chinedu's support, but the fear of her family's reactions consumed her. She knew that she was at a crossroads, faced with a decision that would alter the course of her life. In her desperation, Inkim made a choice that would forever haunt her. She decided to terminate the pregnancy, believing that it was the only way to protect herself and her relationship with Chinedu. The decision weighed heavily on her conscience, and the guilt of her actions lingered long after the procedure. She felt disconnected from her faith, her family, and even herself. But despite her efforts to keep the secret hidden, the truth eventually emerged. Inkim, what have you done? Her father demanded, his voice filled with disappointment and anger. Inkim stood before her family, her heart pounding in her chest. She felt exposed and vulnerable, knowing that there was no escape from the truth. I'm sorry, Papa, Inkim said, tears streaming down her face. I made a mistake. Her father's expression hardened, and the room fell into a tense silence. You have brought shame to this family and our faith, Inkim. You must leave this house. Inkim's heart shattered as she realized the gravity of her actions. She was cast out of her community, ostracized by her family and home. She had once been a part of this, and now she was going to leave. With nowhere else to turn, Inkim decided to leave the village and seek a new beginning in the city. She knew that if she had to start afresh, she had to find her own path and rebuild her life from the ground up. With a heavy heart, she left the village and embarked on a journey to the bustling city of Lagos. The bright lights and bustling streets were a contrast to the quiet, close-knit community she had left behind. She carried with her the weight of her past mistakes and the hope of finding redemption in a place where she could start afresh. It was a daunting prospect, but Inkim knew that she had to find a way to make peace with her past and move forward. In Lagos, she faced the challenges of city life head-on. She found work as a waitress in a small restaurant, determined to make a living for herself. The job was demanding, but it provided her with a sense of independence and self-sufficiency that she had never experienced before. Despite the hustle and bustle of the city, Inkim felt a sense of loneliness and isolation. She missed her family and the familiarity of her village, but she knew that returning was not an option. As she settled into her new life, Inkim began to seek out a sense of community and belonging. She attended church services at a local parish, hoping to reconnect with her faith and find solace in her spirituality. At first, she struggled to feel connected to the church, haunted by the guilt of her past mistakes and the judgment she feared from others. But slowly, she began to open her heart to the possibility of forgiveness and redemption. During a service one Sunday, Inkim listened intently to the pastor's preaching about the power of grace and the power of forgiveness. "Remember that God's love is boundless," he said. "No matter the mistakes we have made, we can find redemption through faith and a sincere heart." Inkim felt a sense of comfort in the pastor's words, realizing that she had been carrying the guilt for far too long. She knew that she needed to forgive herself and seek a deeper understanding of her faith. After service, she approached the pastor, seeking guidance and support. The pastor listened compassionately, placing a reassuring hand on Inkim's shoulders. "It's never too late to seek forgiveness, my child. God sees your heart, and He knows your struggles." As Inkim grew in her spirituality, she also focused on building a better life for herself. So she enrolled in an evening class to further her education, determined to create a brighter future for herself. Despite the hardship she faced, Inkim knew that she had the power to shape her own destiny and live a life filled with purpose and meaning. As Inkim continued to build her new life in the city, she found herself embracing the opportunities and experiences that came her way. Her work at the restaurant allowed her to meet people from all walks of life. Through these interactions, she gained a deeper understanding of the complexities of human nature and the importance of compassion and empathy. One evening, as she sat in her small apartment, she reflected on the journey that had taken her to this place she was in right now. She realized that her struggles had shaped her into a stronger and more resilient woman, and that her past mistakes did not define her. One day, as she was leaving her house, Inkim received a call from her mother. It was the first time she had heard from her family since she had been cast out of the village, and the unexpected contact filled her with a mix of emotions. "Inkim, it's your mother," her mother's voice said. "I know it's been a long time, but I wanted to hear your voice and know how you're doing." Inkim's heart swelled with emotions, and she struggled to find the words to respond. "Mama, I'm doing okay, and I'm trying to make a better life for myself." "We miss you, Inkim," her mother said. "Your father and I have been thinking about you a lot, and we want you to know that you are always welcome back home." The unexpected offer of reconciliation touched Inkim's heart, but it also brought back memories of the pain and rejection she had experienced. She knew that returning to her village would mean facing the judgment and scrutiny of her family and community. "I appreciate your call, Mama," she said, her voice filled with sincerity. "But I've built a new life here for myself, and I'm finally finding my place in the world." "I understand, my daughter," her mother sighed. "But just know that we love you, and we are proud of the woman you have become." Inkim thanked her mother and ended the call. She realized that she had come a long way from the girl she had once been, and her journey was far from over. Despite the challenges she has faced, Inkim knew that she had the strength and determination to overcome any obstacle. Her faith had grown stronger, and she was more committed than ever to living a life filled with purpose and meaning.